Welcome to r/entitled hotel guests and r/FHOA. In these subreddits, people working in the hotel industry share horror stories about customers, and r/FHOA is concerned with crazy homeowner association stories. Just a quick side note, if you are curious about the amount of black thumbnail videos on my channel, those videos have been cut due to copyright issues and I have a bigger explanation at the end of the video. But now, without wasting any more time, let's dive right in. When the 6 registered guests take the entire breakfast buffet. The entire buffet. Our resort put out a beautiful breakfast buffet every morning. Very nice self-serve. It was not your typical little mid-range buffet, this was high-end stuff. Saying what it was would make the location identifiable, so sorry, cannot tell. The buffet has 2 hostesses that work at keeping everything stocked, fresh, and the coffee urns full. We had weddings here almost every weekend, so we are very used to dealing with them. One of the issues we dealt with was when wedding parties registered a few guests and those registered guests assumed that the free buffet should accommodate the entire wedding party or others. Usually we were able to inform them that the buffet is only for registered guests, but they could pay an additional $5 per person if others would like to join them. This was a hell of a deal for what we put out there, and most were perfectly willing to pay the additional charge. Then there was this party. First, it was an employee who booked the wedding venue, so it's already discounted for a wedding that is not hers but a cousin's. Employee tried to book 3 rooms using employee discount on all 3 and was a bit miffed that it would only apply to 1 room. And only if she was in residence. She did not want to be in residence, she lived in the community and was booking these accommodations for out-of-town family members. Denied using employee discount. So, said employee informs the guest that the free buffet is for everyone. Not just registered guests, but everyone. First day that they are there, of a 3-day stay, in comes 30 people from the family. This group has a huge family and the wedding will be over 300 people. So, seeing the large group who are already helping themselves to the food, we locate which are the registered guests, inform them of the additional charge and they refuse to pay. Nope, free is free. Sorry all, not happening. Front desk has to come in and address the free feeding frenzy, which now includes members of this party taking entire platters and walking off with them. They are taking out plastic bags, they came prepared to do this, and dumping bowls of fresh fruits and more into them and bolting. In under 10 minutes they completely destroyed and emptied the entire buffet. They walked off with full crystal jugs of juice/milk and even picked up the entire coffee urn, sugars, everything. The hostesses and front desk struggle to get the buffet replenished and calls are placed to the wedding coordinator and GM. Other guests are waiting for their breakfast to be available and are quite kind and patient. GM comes in and is furious beyond relief when shown pics/video of what happened. He calls the employee to come in right now and address it. She does and goes into a rant about how it should be free for all, that we would not give her discounted room, etc. He tells her to bring the 6 registered guests in to talk. She refuses, so GM places a call to each guest, who all now claim to not speak English and just scream in their language. Except, surprise, GM speaks the same language. It is 3 hours till wedding time. GM informs the 6 registered guests that they are free to stay for the day and the wedding, but they will not be extended the 2nd and 3rd night. Wow, the screaming. But they are all coming down to the front desk to complain. So we get a lobby full of now over 50, more family has arrived, people all screaming in a non-English language about how they are being discriminated against, mistreated, they will have everyone fired, etc. Just, wow. Unreal. Front and center, our employee, soon to be an ex-employee in about 5 minutes. So somehow this all winds down. GM is having a heart attack and a panic attack and is barely contained furious. He pulls up the rooms and attaches as many fees as he can possibly get away with, including the extra charges for the buffet, damages, etc. Wedding happens, drunk happens, and all day and evening we are subjected to verbal abuse from wedding party and guests. Next day comes and now the people involved are aware that they are being kicked out, no longer welcome. GM allowed them to stay for the wedding day only, no longer. Wow, again, just imagine how that went down, then multiply it. The bottom line, each registered guest ended up with over $1,700 in room charges. Employee fired, registered guests get on every DNR in the county, good luck getting family visits in the future, ex-employee. And GM and front desk spent all week sharing this story with everyone as far as they could. But before the said guests departed, eventually they left a parting gift. One last trip through the buffet. Wiped it out completely. We ended up giving gift vouchers to all guests who showed up for breakfast to other restaurants in the area. Staff was dispatched to several stores, some 60 miles away, to restock for the Sunday breakfast, which would have a full house minus wedding party. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Of course, they all fought the additional charges, but the videos of the condition they left the rooms with alcohol and, oh boy, smoking in non-smoking rooms and the food smeared everywhere really helped out. Thank God for video, which also captured the first and second attacks on the buffet. There were also the multiple people who were not registered who apparently stayed in the rooms by what was left behind and observed. What a mess! Rooms were out of service for 2 days. So first of all, if anyone knows what DNR means, which I suppose is a blacklist or something for hotel guests, please let us know in the comments. And furthermore, have you guys ever experienced those special types of guests who just love to take as much as they can on the plate at a free buffet, even though they cannot even eat half of it? Feel free to share your experiences in the comments. The only time I ever cried at work. We will call her Ava. The first time we met, I could tell exactly why she was there. Lots of people check in with our medical discount rate, so it's not always obvious, but the scarf on her head was a dead giveaway. She was short, maybe 5 foot, so the 20-30 pounds she had lost from chemo was a lot. But there was a vitality to her nevertheless. You would not guess that she was racked with pain from the literal poison she was using regularly to play chicken with death. For the first year and a half I was working that front desk, she came into town every few weeks with her mom. The hospital she was going to had a great oncology department. Sometimes she would be more lively than I was. Sometimes she would need her mom to basically carry her in. I offered the use of a wheelchair that we had in the bell closet once, but she did not take it. And then, one day, I noticed that her reservation had been cancelled as a no-show. And after that, nothing. A few weeks after the no-show, I saw a big group of about 15 people come in all at once. They said they had reservations and I was like, oh, okay, what is the last name? In the middle of this pack of humanity, I hear Ava as she pushes her way up to the desk. I was wholly confused when she got up to me. You know how you see someone after a long time and something is really different, but you cannot quite tell what. Yeah, that. It clicked after a second though. Me, oh, you have hair. The family got a good chuckle out of that and I started the check-in process for all their rooms. I told her how good it was to see her and asked what the occasion was. Ava, we are celebrating. Again, it took me a second. I'm puddling dents, y'all. Me, oh, for real? She did not even answer, she just nodded really fast with a big ear-to-ear grin. I then told the other desk clerk to take over. I walked to the back and, as soon as I was out of sight of the desk, I bawled like a effing baby. By the time I composed myself and went back up front, they were all leaving to their rooms. I stopped Ava before she left the desk, scribbled my initials on a pile of our happy hour drink coupons and handed them over. Me? Here, this weekend is on me. I almost got fired for that because I had apparently given out several $100 worth of free booze from our bar, but I gave 0 Fs. If you make the Reaper blink first, I'm gonna make sure you have one hell of a party to celebrate. Ava did not come back for a long time after that, but when she did, it was not with a scarf. That is the only time I ever cried at work. By the way guys, I have to admit one thing, I am a huge fan of wholesome stories, so if you know any good wholesome stories yourself, please feel free to either post them in the comments under this video or post them, which is even better, on r/ripestories on Reddit. And aside from that, if you know any interesting subreddits that I have not covered yet, please also feel free to post them in the comments to let me know. Because as usual, my intention still is to give you guys at least some stories that you have never heard before. How to get rid of an HOA. This story was posted in a new subreddit called FHOA, which is about terrible stories regarding homeowner associations. A good friend of mine has about 4 years ago inherited the house of his grandparents. He decided to live there for the time being, till he has decided what to do with the house. He grew up in it, so he did not really want to sell it. Not even a week after he moved in, he got a visit from a neighborhood committee. They said they are the 3 board members of the HOA and are here so he can sign his membership papers. They were extremely nosy and rude. For example, one tried to get into the garage without so much as asking. When he stopped him and asked him where he wanted to go, he had the audacity to say,
"I need to check your garage. If everything there is in order, I have a right to do this bi-weekly, and denying me access is an offense that will cost a fine."
He then had enough of their audacity and kicked them out of the house. While doing so, one of the board members shoved some papers into his face and told him he needed to sign this right now. He would live there a week already and these papers had to be signed before moving in. Once they were gone, he took a look at the papers. They were effing ridiculous and gave the HOA rights that were simply un-effing real. They had, for example, a right to visit your home bi-weekly and check things like that you do not use the garage for storage, don't have gasoline on containers in your garage, same goes for gas. You had to mow your lawn every week, snow had to be shoveled every 2 hours when it snowed, starting at 5 o'clock in the morning. You could not park more than 1 car on your grounds except inside the garage and a ton of other bullcrap. A few days later they come back and asked him why he did not sign the papers yet. They also wanted to check the garage again. This time he would not even let them in and told them he would never become a member of their stupid club. To them, that meant war. Within a week they had sent him fines north of $1,000. Some of them were for denying them access to his home, each worth $250. My friend simply did not take them serious and used their stupid letters to help fire his grill. Then came the day where they went extremely too far. He came back and one of the board members had broken into his garage, stood in it and was writing things down on his notepad. But that was not even the worst part. He had 2 wonderful oak trees in the front of the house. They had been planted by his great-grandparents when they were newlyweds and moved into the house. The HOA was in the process of taking them down. They had called a professional crew for this. One was already so damaged, basically all twigs were already down, it was just a stump that was left. The other one they had just started with. He effing lost it. He told the tree crew to stop right the F now and explained to them that he was the owner and what they did was highly illegal. They had no idea since the board member claimed these trees were in violation of the rules since supposedly too many leaves went to the neighbor's garden. He had told them that was no legal reason to put them down, but the board member claimed I had given my okay because the trees were in violation of rules of the HOA. He looked it up later, they actually had a bylaw that if a garden produces more than 1 40-liter sack of leaves within 2 weeks, the garden owner needs to take down the offending tree within 2 weeks. He told them he would overlook them trespassing if they would be witnesses in court for him. Then he called the cops on the board members for trespassing, breaking and entering. By the way, they actually had used a bolt cutter to get into the garage. He had it always closed with a big effing bike lock after they had tried to get in it twice before. The trial must have been glorious. Not only did they have to repay him for the lock and the tree, which was worth a crap ton of money, north of 50k if I remember right, plus damages for the second tree. He had a professional tree person look after it, so all the damage healed properly, which alone cost nearly 1k. By the way, I love that expression, professional tree person. Anyway, but these idiots actually thought the trial would have been unfair and tried to fight it, which probably cost them an additional 10 to 15k in lawyers and court costs. All in all, this trial must have cost them over $120,000. Then he went to civil court and sued them for emotional damage. He told them how much these trees meant to him since his great-grandparents had planted them with seeds from the home country. He really laid it on as thick as he could. Plus he felt threatened by the HOA and can hardly sleep because he always fears they try to get into his house. The court actually bought it and gave him 500k plus the cost for a state-of-the-art alarm system, so he can feel safe again in his own home. So to put it all together, he cost the HOA nearly 750k. They had to file for bankruptcy and get a person to check the books so my friend would get his money. The best is for last. The mediator found out that these 3 pricks had been defrauding the HOA for well over 10 years and were giving out as many fines as they possibly could so they could use it to bolster their income. Now he is for most people one of the favorite people living there, and he constantly gets invited over for grilling and whatnot. You see, most people never wanted the HOA in the first place, but the board member practically forced them to sign the contract, claiming it would not be optional, and if they did not sign before moving it, it would be a $500 fine. Only 6 of the over 50 members actually wanted this HOA, and people think they did get part of the action as reward for spying out their neighbors to find violations. Okay, I gotta say, I'm kind of digging these HOA stories. If you agree, please feel free to tell me in the comments what you think about this subreddit. Moreover, I'm curious, HOAs are not really a big problem here in my country, but have you ever had any negative experience with homeowners associations? If you have a little story or an anecdote to share, please feel free to post it in the comments, or even better, on r/ripestories, our own subreddit, if you want me to read it in a story. Also, I gotta say, as a non-American, I'm kind of confused by the whole HOA concept, since it seems it's pretty much only negative and it does not really give any big benefits. But please correct me if I'm wrong. And the next story is once again gonna be from r/entitled hotel guest, aka Tales from the Front Desk. Mom tells her kid they can play on my gaming laptop and freaks out when I say no. Then she demands we pay for her taxi. I am a night auditor / front desk associate at a hotel next to a lower mid-sized airport. I deal with lots of dumb crap, but I get the feeling it's all too common to post here until last night. At around 4 AM, Mom, aka M, and Kid, aka K, are in the lobby waiting for their 4:30 AM taxi to the airport. Since I'm a night auditor, most of my job is just being there to take care of guest requests, so I bring my gaming laptop with me every night to help kill time. Most of the time I'm just playing some low-key music or documentaries on my laptop, but after 2 AM I do some gaming to kill time most nights. M shows up with K to check out and catch a taxi when K notices my laptop. He asks about it and I tell him the make/model. K is obviously a little envious, but otherwise really cool. M and K sit in the lobby when suddenly K is interested in our lobby computer. After getting bored of it in 2 minutes, he whispers to Mom and she whispers back. Suddenly, K ducks behind the counter and starts trying to play on my laptop. I politely asked K to stop touching my laptop and get back in the lobby from around the desk. Surprisingly, K politely obeys, but M freaks the F out.
I'm sitting here waiting for a taxi and you cannot let my child entertain himself on your laptop? I told him he can play on it until we leave.
No, I cannot, since guests are not allowed behind the desk and this is my own personal property.
He's just a child, let him have some fun while we wait for the taxi.
I cannot allow non-employees behind the desk, since other guests' personal information can be viewed. This is company policy for all involved, and I'm sorry the taxi is taking so long to get here.
Well, I told him he can play on it to keep busy, because he needs something to do. What is he supposed to do now?
Ma'am, I understand your child might be bored, but that's not our responsibility. You're welcome to change the channel on the television to find something suitable for him if you would like.
Why aren't there any games on the computer in the lobby?
The computer in the lobby is our business center, and it is stock standard Windows 10 Dell without anything extra installed. Well, that's a business computer and meant to be used by our customers for business purposes.
Then you should install some games on it. If your hotel is going to host children, then it should entertain them as well.
Thankfully, the taxi arrived as she finished her sentence, so she gathers her child and baggage before storming out. Suddenly, the taxi driver is walking in with a receipt book telling me we promised to pay for her taxi. This is patently false and completely against our policy. He easily accepts this, and here comes M again.
Your website says you have a hotel shuttle, and if it's not running, then I expect you to pay for our taxi.
I'm sorry, but our shuttle only runs from 7 AM to 9 PM. Outside of those hours, you're responsible for your own transport.
Your website says there's a shuttle to the airport. We took in it yesterday afternoon.
Yes, when our airport shuttle is operating. We list our shuttle hours on our website. I'm sorry for the confusion. So M starts swearing at me, calling me names and threatening to call my manager for about 3 minutes before realizing I won't be moved. That is when she storms back out to the taxi and they leave. To be honest, I'm just baffled by the audacity of that woman that she expects someone else to entertain her child. By the way, I don't know how frequently you guys go to hotels, but what was the most entitled hotel guest you have ever witnessed? Let us know in the comments, and while you do that, please also don't forget to post some star emojis in the comments and like the video if you want to support me. Due to the recent issues in regards to removing content and so on, it's now more important than ever to like the videos and to comment, just so we can get back into the YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much. The next story was posted by user KittyPup in our own subreddit r/ripestories and is titled Disgusting Evil Clown Story. And yes, this story fits the Just No Mother-in-Law category. I previously warned you guys about this story. It is gross, so don't read while eating. If you have a squeamish stomach, skip this story. I tell these stories here because she is a Just No Mother-in-Law. Not my mother-in-law, but she is a mother-in-law to a couple of really great dudes who married her daughters. This story happened a while back when entitled evil clown sister was living in her own mobile home that was given to her by her father. Not my father, she's my half-sister. She ended up selling it and moving in with my parents because she did not want to pay her lot rents and utilities. At the time, she was smoking synthetic weed and getting money from my parents to buy it. She got a bunch of money from my parents and bought a bunch of synthetic weed. She apparently smoked a huge amount before going to sleep. The next morning, she called my mother, hysterical, saying she was dying. My mom was 80 at the time. Why she called her and not 911, I will never know. My mother went to her house to see what was happening. It seems she had a bad reaction and had pooped her bed, her floor in a trail to the bathroom and was laying in the tub crying. It was gross black poop. My 80-year-old mother had to clean up her crap from the carpet, bed and floor. Good lord, if that happened to me, I would never call anyone and I would take that secret to my grave. I have actually almost died and did not call my mother until I was at the hospital with people whose job it is to keep me from dying, because she's not a paramedic. Derp. Who makes their 80-year-old mother clean up their drug-induced crap storm? Yes, evil clown sister, apparently. I have to say, your evil clown sister definitely deserves that title. And just by the way, in case I had mentioned that this story is from r/justnomother-in-law, you can be sure that there's a small angry mob of people who would instantly look up the author of the story on Reddit and contact him to tell him to take my video down. Or worse, get my channel taken down or something. And with that, I will move over to the last part of the video where we will look at some of the nice cat, dog and in general pet pictures our subscribers have posted on our own subreddit, while I talk a little bit about what happened the last couple of days on my channel. Okay guys, I gotta admit I had to record this twice because it just ended up being rambling for way too long. So I will say this: I would appreciate if all the hatred between the Just No Mother-in-Law subreddit and my community stops. And it would be nice if you could not go to their subreddit to hate there or whatever. I really want to leave this drama behind me as far as possible, so it would not really be conducive if I sent you guys over there to hate or something. So now over to what happened. Basically, a few days ago, one of the authors of the Just No Mother-in-Law stories contacted me to tell me to please take down my stories from YouTube because she did not give me permission and it makes her feel unsafe when her stories are on YouTube. I can absolutely understand this and I removed the stories as quickly as possible. Now the real issues basically started when that author told her fans, or let's say followers, that she won't post any more updates because she feels unsafe. Now her listeners, followers, readers, whatever, they decided to come over to our subreddit to hate on me, insult me and our community and make very personal threats. I will admit that I made some huge mistakes. I took stories from the Just No Mother-in-Law subreddit without permission and read them on YouTube. That was my mistake and I am very sorry for that, and I feel very sorry about anyone who now feels unsafe. That is also one of the reasons why I won't read any more stories from Just No Mother-in-Law, because I don't want anyone to feel bad about that. Anyway, so those lovely people that visited us in our subreddit, which some might call brigading, which is actually illegal on Reddit, got further enraged by the fact that one of the moderators over at Just No Mother-in-Law created a public post to basically try and get my channel shut down. Due to legal reasons, aka Reddit TOS, the moderator was not actually allowed to post the name of my channel or our community subreddit in the post, but to be honest, they made it pretty clear who they are talking about. So then they encouraged people to try and find video links and pick the timestamps to then later commit a copyright strike or DMCA takedown or whatever. The thing is, that is all legal to do if I still had any Just No Mother-in-Law content on my channel. The thing is, around 1 or 2 days prior to that post on Just No Mother-in-Law by the moderator, I had already cut all the Just No Mother-in-Law content out of respect for the authors from my channel. So basically now the only concern I have is that people who are still so angry about all of this will try to falsely copyright strike my channel and try to get me shut down. Due to this very emotionally driven anger, a lot of these people probably don't know that false copyright strikes are illegal, and let me tell you, if I get any of these, I am not afraid to fight this with a lawyer. But as I said guys, please don't go over there to hate on people. Let's just leave all of this behind us and let's continue as usual. I might be misjudging some of the people there, because in the end I don't think that anyone is willing to do false copyright strikes, because they can definitely get in legal trouble. This is not something, at least anymore, to be taken lightly on YouTube. So for now, as you can hear, I'm still sick, but I will try to continue the daily uploads. And I have to say really a huge thank you to everyone who has been supporting me, especially in the last couple of days, because I have to admit it was not easy. And anyway, due to all this rambling, I'm so sorry by the way, I forgot if I already mentioned this or not. Anyway, the stories with the black thumbnail, I would advise you to please not click on them, because effectively if you watch them, they hurt my channel. There are around 50 to 60 videos now on my channel, which were former mother-in-law videos, which have now been cut. The problem is, if you watch these videos, which are sometimes 40 seconds long, sometimes 3 minutes long, they basically hurt my YouTube stats, so I would really appreciate it if you don't click on these black thumbnail videos. If you have any further questions, please post them in the comments and I will try to answer as quickly as I can. Thank you once again for all your support, and please also let me know if you enjoy the new subreddit called r/FHOA. That's it for now. I hope you have a fantastic day and I see you again tomorrow.